Here's a video from day 3 of my section hike of the Appalachian Trail where I hiked from Bland back to Pearisburg. Ironically, the area of Pearisburg ends those West Hostels just a short walk from the active rail line, the Norfolk Southern line, which I filmed out a lot in the lot along going down the Pocahontas division or parts of the Christiansburg division of the rail line. So there's plenty of places to film on that line. Make a long story short, my point of this video is to do the introduction for my section hike the Appalachian Trail. So enjoy the video. Oh, by the way, I will point out that I will be back to that one spot that I filmed a few trains at underneath the highway bridge, because that's not a bad place to film. I don't know when I'll be back there, but I'll be back there. Just like to point out to those few years that follow me for trains. Enjoy video. Here's a video from Woods Hole Hostel. Nice hostel along the trail. Apparently it's the most famous hostel along the trail, but there's a lot of others besides Woods Hole. I haven't stayed at very many because I'm just doing section hikes. Oh, by the way, that table had the magical 8-ball who you could ask questions. This is one of the bunk rooms here, by the way. But make a long story short, it said take a 0, and I suck the magical 8-ball and ask if I'd ever meet my future wife, and it says outlook good. Of course, I've asked it other questions too. This is the bunk house on the 2nd floor. I'm not sure how many bunks are here, I didn't count them. But there's plenty of room here. You can have a lot of people stay here. I met some good friends I hiked with, and I'm going to try to meet up with them again around Harper's Ferry area if I have the money. I just started blew a nice video showing that they all getting ready to leave, jumping the van right up to the trailhead, which was not that far away. Because when I arrived here, it's pouring down the rain, so I was soaking wet. The last time I stayed at Woods Hole Hostel, I got stuck in the rain the last few miles too, and was soaking wet when I got there. 2 times in a row. Fire going in the fire pit. I think I can actually bake bread in that oven. I just know this is a great place to stay. I stayed at 4 Pines, I stayed at Angel's Rest, I stayed at Buck's Garden. According to the shuttle driver, he thinks he's picking me up, dropping me off at Weary Feet. Maybe he did once, I don't remember, but maybe he did. Now in the future, I'm going to try to slack pack this whole stretch of trail, maybe in October when the trees are very colorful. And I have the money. Now actually, if I have the money to pay for that, maybe I'll go down to Swigger Mountain, Georgia. Honestly, in October, I don't know what I'm going to do. 0.4 the Woods Hole Hostel. Over there's the trail that crosses the road here. So I'm getting back on the Appalachian Trail here at the trail road crossing. Think about it, since it's a trail crossing the road, it's a trail road crossing instead of a railroad crossing. And I think it'd be so cool if they would put signs up where trails cross the road like this, and that looks like a railroad crossing with a wooden crossing box, but instead of saying railroad crossing, change the R to a T and make it trail road crossing. I think that would be so funny. Well, actually, you had to put the T in front of the R, never mind. Yeah, I took a shuttle ride from way up there last night and played a little bit. As Warwick is getting dark, and I had to skip 3 or 4 miles, which is a stretch I've already hiked, so I don't mind since I've already hiked that stretch in the past. I skipped the really tough rocky part, because I've already hiked this in the past too. Now I get a slack packet with no heavy backpack and see how fast I can cover 12 miles. I can probably do that in a few hours with no heavy backpack. Maybe a little more, because I'll probably take my time at a few of these spots I know of. Last look at the road through the trees, because after this I won't see civil isolation for 12, well, I wouldn't say for 12 miles because there's a few overlooks where you can see the towns below you. But for the most part, I'm going to be just me in the wilderness. The good news is this is the only tough climb today. Once I get to the top of this, it pretty much levels out. Then you go down. I think there's a couple what you call, I guess you call them hogbacks, where the trail goes down and up, following the terrain or the landscape. And there's a couple of those in the rhododendron tunnels. Rhododendron mountain laurel is so beautiful, but it ain't bloomed out yet. In fact, there's a lot of stuff just now blooming out. All that rain we got last night, I'd say within a day or two these trees will be fully leaved, because I noticed the second half of the day yesterday and the first part of the day today, a lot of trees are just now starting to get the leaves. I say they probably popped out in the last few days. They ain't had time to bloom fully yet. Give it a take. Give it a few days after all this rain, all the trees around here finally be fully leaved. And everything's green back home. Here it looks like everything's just now getting green. Of course, I'm a lot higher up elevation too. You can tell the difference because when I got dropped off of land, everything looked green there. I noticed up and down, you see areas where you can see the difference, where in springtime, everything's just now finally getting bloomed out. Think about a mile or so, I'll be at the next shelter, which I might stop for a minute, but most likely I'll keep going. Oh, that's a bit confusing. I think that's the trail, but that sign says view and has an arrow pointing. Wait a minute, I remember this from a couple years ago. I think this is where I met Captain Pretty Legs. I remember because that's his trail name, and he told me, he's like, my name's Captain Pretty Legs, we got pretty legs, and it had me laughing so hard. I don't know, it's this overlook one of the other ones in this area, because there's a lot of beautiful overlooks in this area. Of course, if memory serves me right, he told me his wife gave him that trail name. So it's funny that he went by Captain Pretty Legs and his wife was the one that gave him the name. Wow. Looks like a storm off in the distance. My destination's like way, way off there. Well, 12 miles ain't that far when you think about it. By car, 12 miles is nothing. Walking it, that's a different story. Here is Doc's Knob Shelter. It's actually one of the nicer shelters on the trail because it has a front porch and picnic table. Well, most, if not all shelters have picnic tables. There's just not very many has a nice front porch and benches like this. So this is a very nice shelter. And there's a little bit of walk to go. Just for the simple fact. That some of the wood's a little rotten on the corners here. Now it looks like somebody's fixed that one. I'm sure whoever it is will be back. I'm sure whoever the maintainer is, they'll be here to fix it. It actually looks like it's in really good shape still. I stayed here once like a couple years ago. Not my best experience because I didn't have, actually it's like 3 years ago. Not my best experience because I didn't have the practice I have in now. I'm a lot better at my hiking and a lot more skilled at it. I'm still learning though. That don't look good. That water's is turning orange, and that's fresh drinking water. Okay, maybe it's not the water itself. Never mind, it's not the water itself, it's the red duct that it's running through that's making give that orange glow. That's another thing that makes this one of the nicer shelters. You got to spring at the shelter itself. Most shelters is a slight walk to water. None of the shelters I've been to has a long walk, except for rice field shelters like half a mile. I'll start to show this out in the video. I am entering the rhododendron tunnel. I tell you, this water is so beautiful through here. It's actually one of my favorite stretches of trail because of this. There's like a couple of these through here. Of course, it's also that little hog back here where you go down a short steep descent, then up a short steep descent. Somewhere in this stretch. Don't know, is this one or the next one? At least a short and not like the long ones where you go down and get the other side, cross the duck road and go back up. South of here, there's a few of those near Buck's Garden. Where you go down the mountain, cross the bridge over a creek and a dirt road and around the curve and you're back up the mountain. Those are the tough ones. They do slow you down. Yep, still going up again. One thing for sure, I do know that here in a few more miles I'll be mostly down and flat until I get to that last piece of Angel's Rest overlook. Then it's going to be a 2-mile descent all the way to Pearisburg. Of course, I'll be going down the switchbacks rather than up the switchbacks, so that helps. Here's a beautiful overlook on the Appalachian Trail. Way down there. Angel's Rest is, okay, I gave myself a bit of a scare there. Angel's Rest is just a little bit farther down. I almost took the express elevator ride down to the bottom. I'm gonna step back a couple feet. It's a little scary. Yep, I stepped off there and lost my balance for a second. I think I'm going to hike this section again in October. State Woods Hole again and do some slack packing just so I could actually enjoy the views of the fall forest. Beautiful overlook. I thought very close there. I was thinking that the trail looked a little different. It's the same stretch of trail, which I'm going to point out my destination here because I'm so close to it. So close, but yet so far. Well, actually, I'm a little bit farther away than that. Down there's the New River. Yeah, apparently I got a little bit farther to go than I realized. Because the New River wraps around there, and way over here is Pearisburg and Narrows. I may have farther to go than I thought. Oh well, at least I'm getting close. So that's a plus. Probably a few more miles and I'll finally be at the area where I have to start down the mountain. Don't accidentally drop my phone, that would be nice. Very deep descent down the mountain here. This is where you start your descent down to the bottom. Now that's a cool area. Of course, I'm going to stop at Angel's Rest Overlook first. Beautiful area. Well, it's easier to go the other way to Angel's Rest. I'm going to go the easy way. It's probably fun to point this out. I got my lantern in that pack. Oh, I ain't gonna pull a lantern out right now. I wonder how people manage to stay on the trail for 4 to 6 months and through hike. If I had the time and money, I would attempt it. Now, if I go that way, it's the extent down. Well, let me head on over to Ainsworth West real quick, and then I'm going to start my descent down the mountain. Somebody's recently cut this back. Wow. Man, it's a good thing what he did was trying to get to where he couldn't use the trail. I got less than 2 miles from at the bottom. Then the bridge over the river, it's like, might be farther away than I realize. Yeah. I've been here a few times in the past. There's a new river. Now I am going to try to get some train videos here. Like the problem is, it's going to be extremely difficult location to film. I'll point that out in a minute. Norfolk Southern here is like that one stretch in the New River Gorge that you go to. You don't know which side of the river the train be on. Because between Seoul and Hawk's Nest, and then there's a stretch on the New River here where Norfolk Southern has double track main line on both sides of the river for a few miles. Well, I don't know how far it goes on both sides of the river, but it ways. There's a factory down there. The trains actually go into that factory some too. You got a small rail yard there, and then the factory itself gets rail service. Thought it'd be fun to point that out. I'm on my last stretch of trail. Any minute now I'll be hitting that road crossing. This piece is wide enough to drive a car on. Still have lots of trails. It's been down more than 2 or 3 feet wide most of the way. All of a sudden it's like almost as wide as a 1-lane road. Now it's narrowed back out. Thought I beat the road, but now, because I did stop and talk to somebody too. Yeah, most of the trails being like this stretch here, slightly, usually this is slightly narrower. So, it's interesting. Excuse me. Well, I covered 12 miles pretty good today. It's like 3:30. I did stop and rest a few times. Of course, I didn't leave Woods Hole until around 10, so it's probably close to 10:30 and I was officially on the trail between 10 and 10:30. I know I'm on that last stretch right now. I remember from the last time I hiked here like a couple of years ago. I think this is the piece that takes it right straight down to the road below. I heard 2 trains go by the way, for those who follow me on YouTube, for my trains and railroad stuff. And the active rail line's just a short walk from the actual hostel itself, so after I charge my phone a little bit and get me some dinner, I may or may not walk down to the tracks and film some trains. Only problem is where they run both sides of the river, I don't know which side of the river to go to. It's interesting, Route 460, which is the interstate, serves the walkway to Appalachian Trail. That's probably the only piece of 460 that you're legally allowed to walk. There's actually a fence between the road and the walkway on the bridge. Well, it's called Route 460, so it's not considered interstate highway, but still, it's probably the only stretch that you can safely walk, because the trail comes down underneath the road, and then it comes back up the other side, and then when you come up the other side on the steps, you walk like across the river. Then you got like a mile or so walk through the woods where you come out to the road I'm about to come out to. Well, technically there's two roads. One has parking, one don't. The one closest to me don't have the parking. Might be a little farther than I thought. See if I could tell yet. Get to this stretch, if I'm close, I should start seeing evidence of the road. I have seen evidence of the town through the trees, because occasionally for a split second, you'll get a quick glimpse of buildings off in the distance through the trees, but you can barely see them. Now it's wintertime, I could probably see the road and see most of the town. It's weird that the way it is here in the winter, even where I live in the wintertime, you can see long distances through the woods when the trees are de-leafed. When the trees are fully leafed and the brush is out, you're lucky to see more than 50 feet in front of you, 100 feet in front of you, looking through the trees, because it's so thick. Let's think that's interesting. Should be there. Oh well. This is my final day, my section hike. So those who watch all three of my videos to the end, well actually I'll probably be more than that, because I'll do some sorts too. But those who watch all my videos to the end, I'll say thank you.